Nikunj, you have raised a very, very important question, and the fact remains that most of the independent directors, I would not be able to name anybody, but the fact is this, that they are occupying some sort of a figurative position. They don't, or in my another opinion, it is not a professional job. It is a post-retirement job. Many of the independent directors feel, and they are not doing the responsibility. And when it comes to liability, they say how we should be liable, why should be liable. There is no job in the world which should be there without any responsibility, and it is a job. And it is all across the sector, all across the company. You find the independent directors have been failing the shareholders' trust that they have. It has been reported them, and we have been raising many issues related to Religare in the past. So it is not a news to me that some agency has charged Singh brothers, but it is a fact that accounting and uh, real position of the accounts and profit and loss is very, very different than what it is given to the shareholders. And no check it that. See, I would say very simply that how can MTech thing happen if the bankers or the independent directors or auditors were doing their job? And I give a very simple example: the case of REI Agro. When REI Agro reported 10% profit on a steel and rice turnover somewhere in Australia and Singapore,
Yeah.
still the banks never questioned
Oh,
them.
it's a
How
long
can
list
a
of company, Mr. Gupta. I mean, I can talk about Satyam, I can talk about Champagne and Daj, I can talk about Amtech Auto. It's a very long list. But right now, this is a developing story for us. And the point I want to make out here is that Deloitte, which is the auditor for the company, has not signed on their Q2 numbers. Fortis, at one point in time, had a market capitalization of $1 billion plus. It was backed by the Singh brothers. Singh brothers were cash rich after the Daiichi transaction. They sold Daiichi, or they sold their ownership and stake in Ranbaxy to Daiichi for a consideration of nearly 10,000 crores. So we don't know where that money is gone. Now, the allegations which have been raised by Deloitte and is that they have refused to sign on the company's second quarter numbers because they are not very sure as to why there were related party transactions. Mr. Gupta, Fortis is in the business of running healthcare. The company has a debt, and now they are claiming that we had loaned money to other companies as part of treasury operations. So a company which is in healthcare has a debt on its balance sheet. Rather than reducing the debt, they have given money to somebody else in third party to make money via the treasury operations. How bizarre is this?
My point is very simply, you are not an independent director on Religare board. You are able to question it. You are not an expert like anybody who is supposed to be there on the board, but you are questioning it. And these people who had all the data with them, they never questioned. They kept silent. So my point is very clear. I have no love lost for independent directors. If the independent directors have failed in their duty, it is the duty of regulator as well as MCA and any other agency to take them to task for fooling shareholders and causing loss to them
Okay,
and
let me
causing
also
loss to the
encourage Mr.
banks.
Shri. Okay, Mr. Gupta, I would urge you to stay with us. Let me also encourage Mr. Shriram Subramaniam to join us now. Mr. Subramaniam, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to use a strong word like daylight robbery because that is what the Deloitte report seems to be pointing at. The famous promoters of Ranbaxy, or the famous ex-promoters of Ranbaxy, have been accused of siphoning off $78 billion from a healthcare company.
Yes, if you see the same allegations sort of are imputed even at Religare, and the kind of transactions that have happened in Fortis, where there was Fortis International, then they spun it off and some assets and made it into a listed REIT kind of structure in Singapore, and then that was again brought back. So it was, and then they had this transaction with Fortis Muller, which was a complete this one. So over the last few years, if you see, I think the company and the promoters have had multiple transactions, multiple corporate restructurings, etc., which effectively leaves a investor wondering as to what is happening with the company and what is the nature of the trouble that the promoters are in. And if you see, the same sort of thing has happened even with Religare. Religare had made multiple acquisitions abroad, was supposed to be a very big non-banking financial company, etc. And then subsequently, the stock has probably tanked 70-80%, and all employees have left, and the company is also in trouble. So all I'm saying is that one is not sure exactly what happened. Yeah, at Fortis, but definitely there seems to be a trouble, and the promoters themselves have questionable sort of integrity.
I just want to understand the next course now. One is this entire charge and allegation of siphoning of money from the Fortis. That's what the agency report is indicating. But the fact that Singh brothers have resigned from the board now, what happens to the minority shareholders? I mean, should minority shareholders worry about their investment in Fortis?
I think the worry is one isn't sure what is the hole out there. There is obviously interest in the assets that Fortis owns, and there are private equity players and probably even strategic players who are interested in acquiring Fortis Healthcare as a hospital company. But obviously in their due diligence, a lot of holes could throw up. So minority investors need to tread carefully, and I would think need to understand as to what is the whole. And SEBI as a regulator can suo moto take action on behalf of this fund. They can institute sort of an inquiry. They can institute, the independent directors also should be accountable and should come out as to what is the truth at the end of the day.